Welcome back to Open Window Politics. Today we're going to be going through a U.S. Senate election prediction. We'll be going through each of these key Senate races that have yet to be called that are currently in the toss-up category. We'll be giving them either a lean, likely, or tilt prediction for whatever respective political party ends up winning that state. We will start out with the likely Republican states. There's going to be a few of those. Start out with Montana. This would normally be in the safe rating, but it is looking like it will be a good year for Democrats, and the incumbent Republican senator is retiring. So Democrats are hopeful they can possibly narrow up the margin. I still think it is virtually certain going to be a Republican victory, but that is going to be the state of Montana. Another state in the likely column, we have the state of Florida. Florida used to be the biggest swing state. It has since moved pretty further and further to the right. Republicans have done well in this state fairly recently for the last couple of elections. So I think that nothing will change and that it will result in a Republican seat there as well. And then I think that may just be the end of the likely Republican states. We'll now go to the likely Democratic states. There is really just Minnesota. Minnesota has had a very long and consistent history of voting for Democrats, and I don't think this election will be any different. So that's going to be one more seat for the Democrats. And then we'll be going through the rest of these states. We'll go now to the lean Republican races. So we'll start out with Texas. Texas has been an interesting election already. The Democratic primary selected James Tallarico as the Democratic Party's nominee. He appeals well to independents and suburban moderates throughout the state of Texas. I think he will do well. I don't think he'll do well enough to result in a Democratic victory, but Texas is normally in the likely rating, and I think with a good year for Democrats and a good candidate like Tallarico, that it could end up in the lean Republican margin. So that is going to be the state of Texas. And then there's going to be a few others in the lean Republican rating. We'll go with, not Ohio. Well, Ohio, yeah, we'll go with Ohio, Iowa, and Nebraska. Nebraska is normally in the safe red. This state is only closer of a margin because there is an independent named Dan Osborne. He actually ran in 2024 for the other U.S. Senate seat in the state of Nebraska. He, of course, fell short then, but has returned and has been challenging the other Republican senator in Nebraska. I still think it'll be a Republican victory, but I think he is a good candidate that could certainly narrow up the race. He was able to significantly outperform Harris in 2024 in the state of Nebraska. So Democrats and independents are optimistic that he can do well in this election. I still think it'll be a Republican victory, but that is going to be the state of Nebraska. And then Iowa and Ohio, those states are normally in the likely margin on the presidential level predictions. I think, honestly, I could see Iowa ending up in the likely column. I'm not certain how to call that one. But Ohio Democrats have got a great candidate, Sherrod Brown, who was actually a former senator for the other Senate seat in the state of Ohio. He, of course, lost his election, however, in 2024, and he is now running for the other Senate seat. I think he's a great pick for Democrats, but he lost last time, and I honestly think he will lose again. I think it might be closer this time around, just with a better year for Democrats at large, but that is going to be the state of Ohio, and then we'll get to the tilt states. So there'll be tilt red and tilt blue in the next few ratings. We'll go back and forth. So I'm going to go with tilt blue for the two states of Georgia and North Carolina. Georgia, this is Jon Ossoff's seat. He is a fairly well-liked incumbent Democrat in the state of Georgia. He's got strong fundraising game and has been performing well in polls. And then North Carolina, the Democratic nominee is a former fairly popular Democratic Governor Roy Cooper, who, like I said, Democratic governor, he's won in North Carolina statewide before, and I think that he will be able to do it again this November in 2026. So that is going to be the first flip of the evening, resulting in a Democratic pickup. And there really are very few states that have one senator from one political party, but the other from the other. And in this case, North Carolina, as you can see here. So right now, before these, we still have a few states left to call, but Republicans and Democrat senators are in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina so far. And then we'll get to the next, do a tilt red state now, that being the state of Alaska. Mary Peltola is the Democratic Party's nominee. She has won the House election here in Alaska, and because of Alaska's smaller population, the House race is just the whole state. So I think she's capable of winning the whole state. When she did win the House election, there was some split ticket voting that favored Democrats, with multiple Republicans in the race taking votes away. So I think that she will do well in this Alaska race, but I think it will still result in a Republican victory. And then for the last two states in the lean blue column, we will go with the state of Maine and Michigan. I forgot to do New Hampshire. I will come back to that. So Maine and Michigan, I predict these will both end up in the Democratic Party's column. The seat in Maine is Susan Collins' seat. She has fended off a wide array of notable Democrats in the past, but like I mentioned earlier, we just see fewer and fewer states with senators from opposing political parties. So I think that this will probably be the end of her career, but she could shock the world. Like I said, I have it in the tilt rating, so I think it could certainly end up with a Susan Collins victory. At the moment, I don't see that as the most likely situation. It will also heavily depend on who the Democratic Party's nominee is for this race, but that is going to be the state of Maine. And then Michigan. Michigan, I think, is Republicans' best hope of the four states that are in the tilt blue. So I think it could be close, but that's going to be my call for Michigan. And then we're going to get to the lean blue states, because I forgot it. That being the state of New Hampshire, really just going to be the one. We'll go ahead and fix Maine there. So that results in 51 seats for the Republicans to 49 for the Democrats. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.